I am super excited about our next guest, Cody Askins. Now, Cody and I go back. I even asked him to write the foreword of my new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Because, look, he's an inspiring guy. He's an up-and-comer, and so Cody, I want to welcome you. You have an inspiring story, so kind of tell us where it all began.
So I've been in the financial services industry my entire life. My dad was in the business he's been in the business 34 years. I got started in the business at 19 as an intern. Fast forward to 20, I went to my first recruiting meeting, and I go in the room, and there's 10 of us in the room, and the manager says, "Take a look around." He says, "Everybody stand up, take a look around." He says, "Now 9 of you sit down." He left one person standing, and what he said next, I still think about every single day today. He said, "Maybe one of you will make it." And I'm like, wow, that's how difficult financial services is, right? But it's also such a rewarding career. And when after that meeting, I said, well, if there's going to be a one, I'm definitely going to be the one. So I actually got with my dad, wrote out a contract that I was going to help so many consumers and make 6 figures my very first year, dated it, signed it, hung at the wall in my cubicle, and then saw it every day. And so I'm a big believer in like setting goals and doing those things. You're actually 900% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down every single day. So I started making some money. But then here comes a big money mistake. Like this is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? Here comes a big money mistake. I go make $9,000 my very first month, right? Amazing, I'm excited, I'm 20 years old, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I go blow it on a Dodge Challenger SRT8, violating one of your main rules in your book, right? And so made some money, blew it, made a ton of mistakes along the way. I really got a chance to learn. But as I look back to on my journey, I think about my parents and how much they believed in me and supported me. I was extremely grateful for that, and I realize not everybody grows up having someone that's like, hey, inspiring them and motivating them and making them believe they can do anything, that they can actually become a millionaire if they do the right money steps, right? And surround themselves with the right people. So fortunate for that. And then even my mom is a huge inspiration to me. She had lymphoma cancer 8 years ago, and we just found out recently that her cancer has come back. And they gave her 2 options. They said, you can take the aggressive route for 6 months, do chemo twice a month for 6 months, or you can spread it out over 2 years and do the non-aggressive version. She says, no, I'll take the aggressive version. I don't want to do chemo for 2 years, so she did it for 6 months. And I was with her recently, when I was thinking about this, I was with her recently at my niece's birthday party. And she said, I went to her and said, hey, how you feeling? Because I know like she's chemo, you're supposed to kill everything in your body, and she's not drinking water, and she's throwing up, and I just know she is because of her previous chemo. She said, I'm doing good, I'm doing fine, I'm doing good. And that's the support system and the people that I've had in my life that have poured into me, that don't give pain a voice, and that have helped me get to where I am along the way.
Yeah, no, it's great. And, I used to tape pictures of the council meetings it's just in front of me so I could see that every day. I'm going to be there. And my goal was to make MDRT my first year in the business. And so goals are so important, I think. So you started off as an insurance agent yourself, but then you transitioned to help other people grow their business. So talk to me about that decision and how it's led you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'd sold for years, and back when I was selling, I had a sales manager that said, hey, I've got these 2 agents. They live in northern Missouri, and they're truly struggling. Can you come help them? And so I drive up, spend several hours with them all day. They make sales, they're happy, and I'm driving home, and I start getting emotional and tearing up because, man, I'm like, I have found and figured out what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because the more agents and advisors I can help, the more consumers they can also help along the way. Right? And so I found I had a passion and a drive for helping people. My grandfather was a Baptist pastor for 40-something years. And so we both have a love for speaking. You've spoken the same amount of times to where you're like, I don't want to travel and speak anymore if I don't have to. And I'm just getting to the point where I'm like, I want to speak as much as I can, And so now get to where we transition into doing events and traveling the country and speaking while building a brand and a YouTube channel around the financial services industry, so that we're able to help millions of consumers around the world. And really, when you think about how agents are able to work with their clients and advisors are able to help people, the more they can learn and spend time with someone like you and actually help their clients implement the steps of becoming a millionaire, no matter what age they are, then they're really able to help people grow, protect, and eventually distribute their assets.
So Cody, it's kind of a crazy world out there. We're seeing inflation that had been dead for 30 years. We know the budget debt, 33 trillion in debt, almost 200 trillion of unfunded obligation. We know taxes are going up. So it's a really crazy time for people to invest. What are some of your thoughts around all this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually go through some of our favorite ways to like invest and start to really invest in appreciating assets and what that looks like and what it can look like for others. Really, all of it starts when it goes back to income. You know, whether you're like entrepreneurship is like super glamorized nowadays. You know, there's entrepreneurs who are inside of a company or a business that can still do extremely well income-wise and be happy, and a lot of them may be more suited for that, right? So figure out whether you want to be an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. And just because everybody wants to be one or the other doesn't mean that you have to fit in that box. Like, you be you, right? And do what's best for you. You can just have a phenomenal income, phenomenal career, live a less stressful career. A lot of times entrepreneurship is more stressful. Plus, most young people are more suited to actually be an entrepreneur nowadays. I mean, we have 17 sales reps on my inside sales team in my office, and majority of them will earn six figures as an entrepreneur. And then some of them are still going and buying the Broncos and the Teslas and wasting some of their money. But they'll learn, right, as we all do. But really, it's like earn income, save up cash, and invest in appreciating assets. Yeah. Like, it is really that simple. Appreciating assets like real estate, right? My wife and I, we own rental homes and duplexes for this exact same reason.
You know, I was just in Rome a couple of weeks ago, and I was standing outside the Colosseum, and I shot a little TikTok video, and I said, in this Colosseum, there were gladiators that used to fight to the death, but did you know that many of these gladiators got paid? They got paid. Now, most of the gladiators, they spend it on wine, women, and song, just like all our friends do when they get their paycheck. But some of them actually saved their money and ended up buying their freedom. And that's what I like to tell younger people, that, you know, it's the money you save in your 20s that's going to allow you to retire in your 60s. And you know, just like they bought their freedom, you can buy your freedom from the banks and the credit card companies and all this if you just stay disciplined and just save a little bit of money. Yeah, I think it's so important for people to work with a financial professional. You know, I say you don't do your own dental work in your garage with your drill set, and I don't think people should be doing their own financial planning. A good financial advisor or professional can help put them on the right track. Now, you talked about YouTube, you talked about your social media. You're everywhere. You're on TikTok, you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram. How has that helped you with your business?
Yeah, it has immensely. I first started, my first YouTube video was December 29th of 2015. And we just hit 100,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel July 20th. You can check it out at Cody Askins. And if you think about social, here's what I love about social. There's 4.6 billion people in the world on social media. 150 million new users in the last 12 months. And the average person spends, believe it or not, 2 hours and 24 minutes every single day on social media, right? If you look at a month, if you look at a year, that's a month, over a month a year on social. If you look at 12 years, they spend a year. If the average person lives to be 84, they spent 7 years of their life scrolling social media, which is insane. And so I share that to say that like everyone is there. I mean, I was at a mastermind I was speaking at recently. We were on a rooftop bar just literally this past weekend in Nashville. And a gentleman walks up and was like, "Hey, are you Cody Askins?" And I'm like, yeah, I actually thought some of the guys were like pranking me or like setting me up. But it was he's a PNC agent out of Nebraska, watches all of our videos. That's the power of a brand, you know? Like I always say, like your vibe attracts your tribe. Yeah. So most people when it comes to social, they want to like be a different person. It's like, no, you want to be you. You want to be who you are. You're going to be authentic, real. That's what I love about you. Like you're authentic, you're real, you're always helping people. And I truly believe it's the best thing someone can do long term to really start to help them grow a business, especially young people.
Yeah. So now you're the founder of the 8% Nation. Kind of explain what that is and what the company does and how you came up with that name.
Yeah, so 92% of agents and advisors fail within their first 3 years. Hence, 8% succeed. So we're focused on helping really anyone, and anyone that wants help, like we do our best to help them. And I always wanted to inspire others to chase their potential, reach their dreams. I truly believe that anyone can earn 6 or even 7 figures if they have the right information, right? Which is what you share, which I love so much. And I actually had a wake up moment in my life of like realizing what I want to do and really starting to like focus on what is my career going to look like when I was actually at a conference. And so because of that, I'm like, well, if a conference was that meaningful to me and that impactful to me, I guarantee you it can impact and inspire and help so many other people along the way too. And so because of that, we're able to teach financial professionals to help their clients the best way they can, right? The importance, like the items in your book, the importance of having a plan, investing in appreciating assets, spending less than what you earn, which sounds revolutionary, but it doesn't happen nowadays.
Well, nobody talks about it, and people are buying stuff that they don't need. They're putting it on a credit card. The interest rate is 24, 28%. And so just these tips, give some more tips that can help the younger people.
Yeah, so if you think about it, like I started making good money 20 years old. The first thing I wanted to do was go blow it on a car, a depreciating asset. Like, I'll give you an example. We're like, I loved your book so much that like my wife and I actually had a meeting about it. Like, no joke. And I'm like, okay, we may be doing okay in life, but like there's so many things that we can learn from so that we can eliminate those mistakes, right? And so if you think about it, a lot of people here's what happens. A lot of people, when they start making some money, their first thought is, okay, now I need to reward myself and like show off and like, you know what I mean? All these things. It's like, you really don't. It's like, do you want to be the person that like is 35, 40 years old that spends every dollar you have? Or do you want to be the Tom Hegna later in life that can golf, has flexibility and freedom, retirement is set up, and isn't stressed about how he's going to go back to work somewhere, at late 60s just to make ends meet and earn an income?
Yeah, what I like about what you're doing is you're giving people simple concepts. See, that's the deal. Everybody thinks there's some magic bullet. No, it's just the discipline of doing things right. And you talked about your car. First thing I did when I was brand new second lieutenant, making $13,000 a year, thought I was really killing it. I went and bought a brand new car. Stupidest thing I ever did, and that was like a chain around my neck for 4 years making that car payment. So.
Yeah, and real quick. So we tend to like jump out and spend money we shouldn't. But then also we tend to make the biggest decisions of our life when we're in the most desperate moments as well. And you want to really think about your decisions and set yourself up well.
Now, you wrote a book too, 0 to 6 Figure. It's a great book. Now, what motivated you to write it and what's in it?
Yeah, so this book is all about how anyone can go from any income level, flat broke, et cetera, to earning 6 figures a year. And there are a lot of simple money sales concepts. I really believe income, as you talk about like having income and then actually using that income wisely to invest in appreciating assets versus depreciating assets, which we'll get into, is super valuable. And the reason I wrote the book too is like, it was my life. Like in my first 8 months at 20 years old, I didn't share this earlier, but in my first 8 months, I earned 117 grand selling life insurance as an advisor while I was in college and playing basketball at 20 years old, right? And so that's why I wanted to share that, because less than 3% of the global population earns 6 figures. Roughly 33% of Americans make 6 figures annually. Most don't, but they could. And I believe that if someone really wants it, it is attainable for anyone if they walk through the specific steps and if they have the right information. And then they have to listen and apply the information at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I've even said you can Google janitors who become millionaires. And you don't have to make a lot of money. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Because everybody watching this is going to earn millions. It's just how much are they going to keep. So look, you host a weekly Power Players podcast. You interview some of the most important people in the financial world. What are a couple maybe of the most memorable little sessions that you've had?
Yeah, interviewing you was a really cool moment. I mean that. Like I've been studying you for my whole career. I remember meeting you several years ago at an event. Getting to interview my dad multiple times, get to share his story is amazing, really cool moment. Like he helped 465 families his very first year in the business while running a debit route. Interviewing Brian Tracy and Les Brown, some industry legends, on our virtual conference. Been able to meet and MC a bunch of other really, really cool names at our main conference. And so like it's allowed me to get around people that have been successful in life. They're following these simple steps. Who wants to be a millionaire? Like they're millionaires, but they're like you. They're humble, and they really want to help people at the same time. And so they're there to share the information. And so the more I can rub shoulders and get around those people, it's like, okay, you want to eventually have a house at a country club. Well, you should probably go hang out at a country club.
Yeah, no, and there's some other good books. Think and Grow Rich had a big impact on me. The Millionaire Next Door talks about living a simpler life and simpler lifestyle. Yeah. Now, you're doing some stuff with AI, artificial intelligence. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hot topic right now, And I tell a lot of advisors, like, AI is artificial intelligence. Some of them just need some action intelligence to go, do something and put forth some activity. ChatGPT seemed to really kickstart it over these last couple of years. It's something that has absolutely revolutionized our industry. It's helping advisors generate leads and even booked calls. Like I found that this morning in a meeting, we had out of all the leads we generated last week, we had a 49.55% of them that actually booked a call on the advisor's calendar because of AI. A lot of it through automated responses. It can carry on whole conversations. Yeah. It's actually got to the point where we're working on some technology behind the scenes with a couple of our partners now to where it can actually like make calls and actually respond to objections and book appointments. It's wild, but it keeps learning. It keeps getting smarter. Financial services, it's allowed us to really catch up even at times and stay ahead of the curve at times. And so it's a really, really important piece. You can feed it info, it'll write stuff for you. Yeah. Even when you're building Facebook ads, it can pre-populate ad copy for marketing now. Like, there's a lot it can do, but it can really simplify your business and just become an industry standard.
I've used it to help draft things, and David Maki is another friend of mine, and he's doing some things with an AI assistant and everything. And I just think this technology, I have to deal with compliance all the time. And so I'll ask AI, I'll say, find me articles on this subject since 2020, so it doesn't give me all the old ones. So there's a lot of neat stuff there. So what tips do you have for younger people? They're trying to build wealth. They want to be a millionaire. What are some other tips that Cody would have for them?
Yeah, find your passion, and spend your life doing that. Like it's interesting because at 18 years old, we're like assumed to know what we want to do for the rest of our life, and that's really hard to figure out.
Yeah, I've got a 21-year-old daughter, and I was encouraging her to go in the Air Force. She didn't, but she's so serious about it. And what am I going to do? Where am I going to be in 20 years? I said, Sammy, I didn't have an idea where I was going to be. Just get out there in the real world and start doing stuff. It's crazy. Well, Cody, this has been great. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you? I mean, I find you everywhere, but where should they go?
Yeah, so they can go to CodyAskins.com. They can always email me, Cody@CodyAskins.com, or they can follow me on any social platform at Cody Askins. Specifically, Instagram is probably my personal favorite now to just interact and share behind the scenes, which is at Cody.Askins.
That was great. Thank you very much, Cody.